What if the key to a fulfilled life lies not in chasing fleeting pleasures, but in mastering the art of inner stillness? At Stoic Reflections, we dive deep into the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that has guided countless souls through the storms of life for over 2,000 years. In this exploration, we uncover 9 timeless rules rooted in Stoic thought, crafted by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca to help you navigate the chaos of the modern world. These rules are not mere suggestions, they are a call to shed arrogance, embrace humility, and live with intention. We'll journey through the Stoic mindset, learning to be perpetual students, harnessing the power of mornings and focusing only on what truly matters. Each rule offers a beacon of clarity in a world often clouded by ego and distraction. Whether you're seeking resilience, purpose, or emotional control, these principles provide a roadmap to a life well lived. We invite you to engage fully, pause, reflect, and let these ideas stir your soul. At Stoic Reflections, our mission is to spark meaningful conversations and growth. We'd love to hear your thoughts. In the comments below, share your experiences with Stoicism, suggest topics for future videos, or tell us which rule resonated most. Our community thrives on your insights, and we're committed to creating content that serves your journey toward wisdom. So, stay with us until the end, and let's uncover the transformative power of Stoicism together. The Stoics, those ancient architects of resilience, understood that life is not a gentle stream but a tempestuous sea. Their philosophy, born in the bustling agora of Athens and refined in the marble halls of Rome, offers us a lifeline: 9 rules that stand as pillars of wisdom even amidst the relentless churn of modernity. These rules are not commandments etched in stone, but invitations to cultivate a mind that bends without breaking, a heart that endures without hardening. Let us embark on this journey, threading through each principle with care and curiosity, as if unearthing treasures buried beneath the sands of time. The first rule beckons us to adopt the posture of a student, not just occasionally, but perpetually. In a world where many proclaim their mastery, the Stoic knows that true wisdom begins with humility. Too often, we encounter voices online shouting, "Be a leader, never a follower." Yet this rigid dichotomy betrays a deeper truth. Even the greatest leaders were once followers, learning at the feet of those who came before. Epictetus, a former slave-turned-philosopher, reminds us that we are all both teachers and pupils on this winding path of self-betterment. Imagine life not as a linear race but as a circle of dance where we follow those ahead and guide those behind. To reject this dance is to cling to an ego that blinds us. A good leader listens, a great one learns. So, put aside pride, quiet the inner voice that claims to know all, and approach each day as a novice eager for revelation. Ask yourself, when did I last truly listen? When did I last allow myself to be taught? The second rule invites us to commune with the dead, not through essences or shadowy rituals, but through the living words they left behind. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, arrived at the doorstep of wisdom penniless, his fortune lost to the sea. A sage advised him to talk to the dead, a cryptic command that unveils its brilliance in simplicity. Read. Books are bridges to minds long vanished, their thoughts preserved like embers in ash. Through them, we converse with Plato beneath the olive trees, spar with Nietzsche in the twilight of gods, or sit with Marcus Aurelius as he pens his meditations by candlelight. The dead speak, and their voices are unmarred by time, offering lessons from ages past and truths that echo into our present. To ignore this is to squander a priceless gift. Reading is not a passive act, it is a dialogue across centuries, a gathering of souls. Leaders may not all read, but the wisest among them do. So, seek out the tomes that whisper to your spirit. Begin with the classics, the Stoic texts, the works that challenge and console. Let the dead teach you, and in their words, find life anew. The third rule turns our gaze to the dawn, the the tender are where the day is born. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, was no stranger to the seductive pull of his warm bed. Flesh and blood like us, he wrestled with the inertia that whispers, stay, rest, delay. Yet what set him apart was his refusal to surrender. He knew that to conquer the morning was to conquer the dire microcosm of life itself. Begin your day with intention. The night before, scribe the tasks that matter most, so the mind awakens not to chaos but to purpose. Then move, stretch, walk, greet the sun with your limbs as well as your eyes. These acts are not mere routines, they are rituals of awakening, summoning the spirit to meet the demands of the hours ahead. Simplicity is key. Do not burden the dawn with endless checklists. Instead, let the morning be a canvas for clarity, a foundation for the victories to come. Reflect. How do you greet your mornings? Do they serve as allies or adversaries in your quest for greatness? The fourth rule demands discernment, a piercing question to cut through the fog of business. Is this necessary? Too many of us fill our days with trivialities, mistaking motion for progress. We chase errands, scroll endlessly, or labor over tasks that bear no fruit, all while the heart's true work languishes. Marcus Aurelius taught that attention should mirror worth. If a task holds little value, let it receive little of you. There are but 24 hours in a day, a finite currency more precious than gold. Delegate the inconsequential, ignore the frivolous, and reserve your energy for what moves the needle of your life forward. This is not laziness but wisdom, not avoidance but focus. The next time you find yourself adrift in activity, pause and ask, does this matter? If the answer falters, redirect your course. Time is a river, and we must steer toward what shapes our destiny. The fifth rule anchors us in reality. Attend only to what you control. The Stoics saw folly in fretting over the uncontrollable, be it the whims of others, the tides of politics, or the caprices of fate. Such worries are chains that bind the mind, draining vitality from the present. Instead, fix your gaze on what lies within your grasp, your thoughts, your actions, your responses. This clarity breeds pragmatism, freeing you from the endless spiral of what if and if only. To obsess over the uncontrollable is to invite madness. To release it is to invite peace. Consider your daily anxieties. How many stem from things beyond your reach? Let them go like leaves on a stream, and channel your strength into what you can shape. This is the Stoic's liberation, a life unburdened by futile cares. The sixth rule cautions against the phantoms of the mind. Do not worry about what does not exist. Our imaginations are fertile grounds for fear, conjuring catastrophes that rarely materialize. Seneca observed that we suffer more in anticipation than in reality, our minds crafting torments sharper than any blade. As men, we often bear the weight of imagined burdens, dangers that loom but never strike. The Stoic remedy is presence. Tether your thoughts to the now, where the air is real and the ground is firm. Most of what we dread dissolves in the light of reason. So, when anxiety knocks, ask, is this fear rooted in truth, or is it a shadow cast by my own mind? More often than not, it is the latter. Stay grounded, and let the unreal fade. The seventh rule balances rigor and compassion. Be hard on yourself, gentle with others. Hold fast to your principles, let them be the steel of your character, but wield kindness like a cloak. This is not to condone wrongdoing, but to forego judgment as a first resort. People err, as we all do, yet condemnation rarely mends a heart. Instead, lead by example. Let your virtues be a mirror others might glimpse themselves in. To demand perfection of others while sparing ourselves is hypocrisy. To forgive them while refining ourselves is wisdom. Reflect on your interactions. Do you judge swiftly or seek to understand? The Stoic path favors the latter, building bridges where others might build walls. The eighth rule casts a stark light on mortality. Remember daily that you will die. Seneca reminds us that death is not a distant spectre but a constant companion, weaving through every breath we take. Each second slips away, irretrievable, drawing us closer to the end. This is not cause for despair but for urgency to live fully, to act decisively, to cherish the fleeting. Too often, we postpone our dreams, assuming time is an endless well. Yet death whispers otherwise. Let its nearness sharpen your focus, complete what matters, savor what delights, and waste not a moment on the trivial. This memento mori is a Stoic ritual not to darken life, but to illuminate it. Ask, if today were my last, how would I live differently? The ninth and final rule urges resilience. Take the storm in stride. Life is no gentle meadow. It is a landscape of peaks and valleys, sunlit days and raging tempests. Marcus Aurelius, despite his imperial might, could not halt the winds of change, yet he chose to face them with equanimity. Good and ill will come. Our power lies in how we meet them. Seek the lesson in hardship, the opportunity in loss, and the growth in struggle. To rail against fate is to invite misery. To embrace it is to unlock serenity. When the storm arrives, stand firm, find its hidden gifts, or at the very least, endure with grace. For in this choice lies our freedom, our dignity, our humanity. These 9 rules, forged in the crucible of ancient thought, are not relics but living truths. They demand practice, reflection, and a willingness to see the world anew. The Stoics offer us not a shield against life's trials, but a lens to see them clearly, a philosophy not of escape, but of engagement. Take them up as tools, wield them with care, and let them shape a life of wisdom, resilience, and quiet triumph. At Stoic Reflections, we've journeyed through 9 Stoic rules that pierce the veil of modern distraction, revealing a path to clarity and strength. From embracing the student's humility to facing life's storms with grace, these principles born millennia ago still resonate as guides for a meaningful existence. They remind us to focus on what we can control, to live with intention, and to greet each day as a fleeting gift. Their value lies not in mere knowledge but in practice, urging us to embody wisdom amidst the chaos of life. We invite you to share your reflections below. How have these Stoic teachings touched your journey? What challenges do you face in applying them? Your insights fuel our community, and we'd love to hear suggestions for future explorations. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic Reflections for more philosophical insights to enrich your path. Join us next as we sit with 2 remarkable voices, Benjamin and Sophia, who will dive deeper into Stoicism's timeless wisdom. The discussion promises fresh perspectives and heartfelt reflections. Stay tuned to witness their exchange. Let's keep growing together, one Stoic step at a time.
All right, let's dive deep into Stoicism. But we're going beyond just the basics, We want to see how these ancient principles can actually apply to us, like today.
You've probably heard about Stoicism before, maybe even tried out some of the ideas, but we're going to unpack 9 specific rules for wisdom and resilience from some really insightful Stoic writings.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating to me that, these rules were made thousands of years ago, but they're still relevant, like for all the crazy stuff we deal with today.
Really is true. And the first rule, it might seem kind of strange, especially like in our culture where everyone's always trying to achieve something. Become a perpetual student.
Yeah, I can see why some people might be like, wait, what? Aren't we always told to be leaders and experts? Why would we want to be students forever?
Well, it's all about having humility, realizing that even when we've learned a lot, there's always more to learn. This goes back to a basic idea in Stoicism. Real wisdom starts when you realize you don't know everything.
So instead of always trying to be the teacher, the leader, the expert,
we can be the student, be open to new ideas, and even have our own ideas challenged.
That reminds me of Epictetus. He went from being a slave to one of the most famous Stoic philosophers ever. Talk about like a student mindset, right?
Exactly. His story is a great reminder that we can learn anywhere from anyone, anytime. It's all about that curiosity, that willingness to be taught, even when you think you know it all. It makes me wonder, when was the last time you really let yourself be the student?
Whoa, that is a really good question. Okay, so rule number 2. This one's kind of mysterious, maybe even a little spooky.
You're talking about converse with the dead.
Right.
It's not about, ghosts or anything. The Stoics use this to mean we should learn from the wise people who lived before us.
Oh, so it's about learning from, like, the great thinkers, the philosophers, the writers of the past.
Exactly. What they wrote has a lot of really smart stuff that's lasted for centuries. Remember Zeno of Citium, the guy who started Stoicism? Someone told him to talk to the dead after he lost all his money. That got him into philosophy and changed his whole life.
Wow, that's amazing. Shows how timeless wisdom from books can be. So what kind of conversations should we be having with these dead people?
Well, the Stoics would say to read all sorts of things. The classics, of course, but definitely dive into the Stoic texts themselves. Like read Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, get their ideas straight from the source. And don't be afraid to read stuff that challenges your thinking, makes you think differently. What I've found is that when we engage with different voices like that, we get a way better understanding of ourselves and the world.
I love that. Now, speaking of bettering ourselves, rule number 3 is all about how we start our day. Conquer the morning. I gotta admit, I'm not really a morning person. So, how does this work for people who, hit snooze a bunch of times?
A lot of people think it's just for early birds. But it's more about how you start your day, no matter when you wake up. Marcus Aurelius thought if you conquered the morning, you conquered the whole day. It sets the mood,
So even if you're not, like, jumping out of bed at dawn, you can still benefit from starting with purpose.
Totally. Here's some tips that might help. The Stoics would say to write down your most important tasks the night before. So when you wake up, you know exactly what you need to do. They also say to move your body a bit in the morning. A quick walk, some stretching, anything to get your energy up.
What I find helpful is, instead of having this huge to-do list, just be clear on what you want to do. Start the day focused, not all over the place.
Exactly. When you set clear intentions for your morning, your whole day becomes more productive and fulfilling. It's like a chain reaction where that feeling of purpose carries into everything you do. Now, this leads us to rule number 4, which sort of builds on this idea of living with intention.
And that is?
Question necessity. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in being busy all the time, constantly doing things without ever stopping to ask, do I really need to do this?
Yeah, it's like we're on autopilot, just going through the motions without thinking if what we're doing actually matters to us or, helps us reach our goals.
The Stoics thought of time as something precious, something that shouldn't be wasted. They told us to always think about how we're using our time, asking if what we're doing is really serving us or just keeping us busy.
So it's not about doing less, it's about doing what really matters.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of our choices, making sure what we do aligns with what we believe in and helps us live a good life. What helps me is to, every now and then ask myself, what am I doing that seems important but maybe isn't really necessary?
Yeah.
What can I stop doing so I have more time and energy for what truly matters?
That's a great question for everyone to think about. It's about making space for the things that truly matter, both in our personal lives and at work.
Right. Now, this brings us to rule number 5, which I think is really important today. Focus on what you can control. Sounds simple, but I think there's more to it than we realize.
I agree. It's easy to say focus on what you can control, but how do you actually do that when so much in life feels out of control?
That's the tough part, isn't it? The Stoics knew that a lot of our stress comes from things we can't change. What other people do, unexpected events, even the weather. They saw that we waste so much energy worrying about things we can't do anything about.
So it's not about just accepting whatever happens.
No, not at all. It's about understanding that it's better to focus on what we can influence, our thoughts, our actions, how we react to things. It's about choosing to focus on the things we have control over, not the things we don't.
That makes sense. It's about feeling like you have some power, even when things are tough. It's about choosing where you put your attention and energy.
Right. And focusing on what you can control actually helps you deal with the hard times in life. It's about realizing that while you can't always control what happens to you, you can always control how you react. And that brings us to rule number 6, which deals with something people do a lot that causes them to suffer.
Okay, I'm curious. What is it?
It's worry about what doesn't exist. Seneca, a really smart Stoic thinker, noticed that we often suffer more thinking about something bad than when it actually happens. We imagine all these worst-case scenarios and scare ourselves with things that rarely actually happen.
Oh my gosh, I do that all the time. I imagine all sorts of problems that haven't even happened yet.
It's something we all do. But the Stoics remind us to stay in the present moment. to look at our anxieties and ask, is this fear real or am I just making it up? They want us to see the difference between what's actually happening and what we just think might happen.
That's such a good point. It's about checking our assumptions, questioning our fears, and focusing on what's actually in front of us.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this leads us to a rule that might seem a bit contradictory. Be hard on yourself, gentle with others. How do those two things go together?
That's a great question. How can you be strict with yourself and kind to others at the same time?
It's about finding a balance. The Stoics thought we should hold ourselves to high standards, trying to be the best we can be. But they also knew that everyone messes up. We're all learning and growing. So we should push ourselves to improve, but also be understanding and compassionate towards others.
So it's about leading by example, not judging people for their mistakes.
Exactly. We're more likely to help people change by being good examples ourselves, not by criticizing or judging them. The Stoics thought true strength is holding yourself accountable while being kind and understanding to others.
I really like that perspective. It's about showing the values you want to see in the world, not forcing people to be a certain way. Now, this next rule is powerful, but maybe a little hard to hear. Remember your mortality. Not exactly a fun topic, but I feel like there's something deeper here.
You're right. Seneca actually believed that being aware of our own death could make us live more meaningful lives.
That's an interesting idea. How does thinking about death make life more meaningful?
When we remember that our time is limited, it helps us focus on what really matters.
Yeah.
We stop wasting time on pointless things and start focusing on things that bring us joy, that match our values, that make a positive impact. It's about living with intention, knowing that every moment is precious.
So it's not about dwelling on death, but about using it to remind us to make the most of our lives.
Right. It's a call to live each day with purpose, to appreciate time, and to make choices that reflect what we truly believe in. And this connects perfectly to the last rule, which is all about facing challenges.
All right, hit me with rule number 9.
Take the storm in stride. Life is full of ups and downs, unexpected stuff happens, and the Stoics knew we can't control everything.
But we can control how we react to those challenges.
You got it. And that's what this rule is about. It's about being resilient, finding strength inside yourself, and facing tough situations with grace and courage. Like, think about Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome and went through so much. He decided to face those challenges calmly, always looking for ways to grow, even when things were bad.
That's a powerful image. Reminds me that we can learn from him, find ways to get through tough times with strength and composure.
Exactly. The Stoics tell us to see challenges as chances to grow, to focus on what we can learn from hard situations, and to stay calm even when everything around us feels crazy.
Wow, that was a journey through Stoic wisdom. We covered so much in this first part of our deep dive, but before we go on to the next part, I think we should pause and really let these 9 rules sink in.
I agree. These aren't just ideas to think about. They're ways of living, ways of being.
So for all of you deep divers out there, take a minute to think about what you've heard.
Which rule really speaks to you?
Which one makes you curious, or maybe you even disagree with it a little?
And
What is it about that rule that connects to what you're going through right now, the challenges you face, or what you're hoping for?
We'll talk more about how to actually use these principles in the next part of our deep dive.
Back again for more Stoicism. I'm still thinking about all those rules we talked about. It's amazing how, they still make sense today.
Yeah, they've definitely stood the test of time, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think that's why Stoicism is so popular. It gives you practical advice for life, no matter when you live.
Totally. So we've got these 9 Stoic rules for wisdom and resilience, but how do we actually use them?
That's the hard part, right? It's easy to understand them, but actually living by them, that's different.
So where do we even start?
Well, I think the first thing is to pick one rule that you really connect with, one that speaks to, where you're at in life.
So don't try to do all 9 at once.
Right. Just focus on one that really grabs you, maybe even one that challenges you a bit.
I like that. Pick one that you think could really make a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then the key is to start small. Don't try to change everything overnight.
So it's about making small changes over time.
Yeah, exactly. Try to fit the rule into your daily life in a way that you can actually keep up with.
Like if you conquer the morning, maybe set your alarm a little earlier and try meditating or journaling for a few minutes.
Perfect example. Or if question necessity is your thing, try tracking how you spend your time for a week and see what you're doing that's not really important.
And for those who want to converse with the dead, where do you even begin with all those books out there?
For me, it was Seneca's letters from a Stoic that really changed how I saw Stoicism. His writing is so clear and relatable, it helped me see how to actually use these ideas.
That's awesome. It makes it so much more real when you have that personal connection. So we choose a rule, start small, and then what?
Then it's all about trying things out and seeing what happens.
So like a science experiment.
Yeah, kind of. Try different things, see what works for you, what feels right, and what you can keep doing.
Maybe write about your experiences in a journal. Think about the challenges and the good stuff, and change your approach if you need to.
Exactly. Remember, Stoicism is something you practice. It's not a goal you reach. It's a journey of learning about yourself and growing, and it's different for everyone.
It's not about being perfect, but about trying to live by these principles.
You got it. The Stoics knew we're all a work in progress. We're going to mess up sometimes. The important thing is to keep practicing, keep getting better, keep moving forward.
That's what I find so empowering about Stoicism. It's not about being perfect. It's about making good choices, being resilient, and finding meaning and purpose even when things are tough.
Absolutely. The more we use these principles, the more they become a part of who we are. It's like working out a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
And just like working out, you got to be consistent. It's about taking care of yourself every day and trying to live by these values.
Exactly. It's about having that Stoic mindset, which is really about approaching life with wisdom, resilience, and living in harmony with nature.
You know, what strikes me about these Stoic rules is how practical they are. They're not just like these big philosophical ideas. They give you actual advice for dealing with life.
Totally. And that's why people have connected with them for so long. They address what humans need and want: resilience, inner peace, a sense of purpose. They give you a way to achieve those things, even in a world that often feels messy and unpredictable.
It's like they give you a map for navigating life, with all its ups and downs, challenges, and good times.
Exactly. And the best part is you don't need to be a philosopher or an expert to benefit from them. Anyone who's willing to learn about them and use them can benefit.
Okay, so we talked about choosing a rule, starting small, experimenting, and being consistent. But what about when we hit a wall? What if we struggle to actually use these principles?
That's a really good question, and we all go through that. The Stoics understood that we're going to face challenges and mess up along the way, but they also saw these challenges as chances to grow.
So it's not about avoiding problems, but learning from them.
Right. When we face obstacles, the Stoics would say to see them as opportunities to practice, to get stronger, to improve our approach.
It's like fall down 7 times, get up 8.
Exactly. It's about embracing the whole process, knowing that setbacks aren't failures. They're just steps on the way to growing and becoming wiser.
Earlier, you mentioned how Seneca's writings helped you. Are there any other books or resources you'd recommend for people who are, on this Stoic journey?
Definitely. The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday is one I always recommend. It's a great resource if you want to learn more about Stoicism.
Yeah.
It has daily meditations, reflections, and practical exercises based on what Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus taught.
That sounds amazing. It's like getting a little bit of Stoic wisdom every day.
Exactly. And another thing that's been really helpful for me is the Stoic Fellowship. It's a group of people all over the world who are interested in Stoicism. They have online forums, discussion groups, and even meetups in some places.
It's pretty cool to think about all these people connecting with this ancient philosophy. Shows how timeless it is and how it can bring people together from all walks of life.
It really does. And it makes you think about another important thing about Stoicism. It's not just about you getting better as a person. It's also about feeling connected to others.
So even though Stoicism says to focus on what you can control, it also recognizes that we're all part of something bigger, connected to each other.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important part of using these principles in our lives, thinking about how our actions affect other people.
That's a good point. It's not just about us being happy. It's about knowing that our choices affect others too.
Exactly. And that's where be hard on yourself, gentle with others comes in.
It's about expecting a lot from ourselves, but being understanding and compassionate towards other people.
Exactly. And it also ties into focus on what you can control. We can't control what other people do, but we can control how we react.
It's about choosing kindness, patience, and understanding, even when others aren't doing the same for us.
Right. And it's about remembering that we're all on our own journeys. Everyone's doing their best with what they know and what they have right now.
And even remember your mortality can affect how we treat others.
For sure. When we remember that our time is limited, it makes us want to be more present, more mindful, and more appreciative of the people in our lives.
It's about cherishing the moments we have, showing gratitude and forgiving when we need to.
Exactly. And it reminds us that we don't have forever to make a positive difference in the world.
So it's about living with purpose, making choices that match our values, and trying to leave the world a better place than we found it.
Exactly. And that leads us to the idea that Stoicism isn't just about personal fulfillment, it's about being responsible to others too.
I love that. So Stoicism encourages inner peace and resilience, but it also calls us to help make the world a better place.
Precisely. And that brings up a big question. What if, instead of just reading about Stoicism, we started actually living it?
Whoa, that's a powerful question. What if we took these old ideas and made them part of our lives, part of how we interact with the world?
Imagine how much we could change, both as individuals and as a society.
That's an inspiring thought. It makes me think about the next part of our deep dive, where we'll talk about what Stoicism means for society as a whole.
Welcome back to the last part of our Stoicism deep dive. It's really cool to think about Stoicism not just for ourselves, but for, like, the whole world, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that part of it. We usually focus on how it helps us individually, resilience, inner peace, all that. But it also has a lot to say about how we interact with others and society.
So how does Stoicism, affect how we treat each other, our roles in society, and maybe even how we try to make the world better?
Well, let's think about be hard on yourself, gentle with others. Sounds simple, but think about what it means for building strong relationships and communities.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
When we try to be our best selves, but also show compassion and understanding to others, it creates a more harmonious environment. Like everyone feels supported. Exactly. It helps people understand each other, forgive each other, and grow both individually and as a group.
And focus on what you can control. That's got to be huge for social change, right? It could help us avoid feeling overwhelmed by, all the world's problems.
Totally. Instead of getting stuck on things we can't change, we can focus our energy on making a difference in our own little corner of the world.
So it's not about ignoring the world's problems. It's about finding what we can do to help.
Exactly. It's about taking responsibility for our actions, helping our communities, and supporting causes we believe in. That could be volunteering, donating to a cause, or even just trying to be kinder and more compassionate in our everyday lives.
Yeah, those little acts of kindness can really add up and inspire others.
For sure. And even remember your mortality, as kind of dark as it sounds, can make us want to make a positive difference in the world.
That's a really interesting thought. How does thinking about death make people want to help others?
Well, when we remember that our time is limited, it can inspire us to live with more purpose, to use our time well and contribute to something bigger than ourselves.
It's like we want to leave something good behind, make a mark on the world.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? What kind of impact do I want to have? And then, actually doing something to make that happen.
Wow. I'm really seeing how these Stoic rules apply not just to our own lives, but to making a better world for everyone. It's like a guide for ethical living, a way to live a meaningful and responsible life.
It is. And it reminds us that we're all connected, that what we do affects others, and that we can contribute to the greater good.
So Stoicism isn't just about personal philosophy. It's about living a life that has meaning and makes a difference.
It's about trying to be the best we can be, not just for ourselves, but for everyone.
I love that. It's so inspiring. It takes these Stoic principles to a whole new level.
And I think it's especially important today. There are so many problems in the world, social, political, environmental. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, or like nothing we do matters. But Stoicism tells us that we can make a difference. We can create positive change, one step at a time.
And it all starts with having that Stoic mindset, being wise, being resilient, and living in harmony with nature.
Exactly. So to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. What if we all decided to not just learn about Stoicism, but actually live by it?
What if we took these ancient ideas and made them part of our everyday lives, part of how we interact with the world?
Imagine what the world would be like if it was built on Stoic values: wisdom, justice, courage, moderation.
It's a beautiful vision, and it all starts with each of us choosing to follow the Stoic path.
Let wisdom be your guide, resilience your strength, and purpose your compass.
And let's all work together to create a world that reflects the best of humanity.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
And keep seeking wisdom.